So welcome back to the only daytime courtroom drama that matters, Decoy Court. And today we're taking 3 posts from r/relationships, starting with the featured post of the day, which is, I, a 26-year-old male, cannot stand my girlfriend, a 23-year-old female, when she's drunk. We have been together for 1 year. She's a sweet girl when sober, but turns into a monster when drunk. What should I do? So as always, we're going to read the post, go over the top comments, the controversial comments, and your comments down below to get that final Decoy Court decision. But honestly, I can't be an unbiased judge with this because I feel like at that point in my time in my life, I was dating someone just like this, where they were sweet bookworm during the day and then 2 beers later, bar fight and jackal at night. So let's go ahead and get to this post right now. So OP writes, I've been with my girlfriend for a year now and we get along great most of the time. She is normally super sweet and affectionate, and we have no problems. She knows how to dress, has a great job, and is normally very professional. We both like to go out on the weekends and get a few beers and get something good to eat. About 1 weekend a month, she gets way too drunk and we either fight and have to play babysitter. This usually occurs when we go out with a large group of people, for a wedding/Halloween party, etc. When it's just her and I, we have no problems. When she's around a large group of people, she seems to get caught up in the moment and orders drinks extremely fast and goes from 0 to 100 real quick. When she gets this drunk, she will fight with me over the smallest things. She gets extremely insecure and will get upset when I walk away from her. She accuses me of not being affectionate enough when looking at other girls when she's like this. She said some very mean/hurtful things when drunk and she doesn't remember them in the morning. One night she called me a piece of crap for walking away from her, and another night she told my uncle he was a piece of crap for telling her she was cut off. He said it to her in a joking manner, by the way, but she took it seriously. She will bring up the ex-girlfriend sometimes when she's this drunk and tell me that I'm still in love with her. She has done this several times and I'm not sure where this comes from. I broke up with my ex for a reason and we have no contact with her whatsoever, nor do I want to. She will get loud and the smallest things will upset her. She will cause a scene in front of others and not remember it in the morning and be extremely embarrassed. When she wakes up in the morning, she seems like she doesn't remember the things that she did, and when I bring them up to her, she will tell me to stop, and that it's embarrassing her. When we were at a Halloween party over the weekend and she got extremely intoxicated and was very embarrassing, she was crying and trying to pick a fight with me, and I wouldn't have it. I talked to one of her close friends from college that was at the Halloween party with us, and she straight up said to me, she should not drink heavily. She can't handle it. She's been this way her whole life. I swear her body doesn't metabolize alcohol like a normal person. My family loves this girl, but they never get to see this side of her. When she's around my family, she's usually super sweet, respectful, appreciative, etc. My mom is constantly complimenting me on my catch and how beautiful she is and how much she likes her. I have had a very high level attraction for this girl, but these drunken disasters have slowly caused me to start seeing her in a different light, and I hate it. I want to stay with her, but if she cannot get this under control, I should feel like I should break up with her. I do not want to deal with this the rest of my life. What should I do? Too long didn't read. My girlfriend is sweet and loving girl when she's sober, but likes to start fights and drama when she's drunk and rarely remembers it in the morning. So taking the case over to Decoy Court in this relationship drama is a situation of, the old adage, drunk thoughts or sober, no, or sober words, or no, drunk words or sober thoughts, where she's likely like this. If the other adage is, put a mask on somebody and then they'll show you who they truly are. When they don't worry about consequences, repercussions, they kind of are more freely speaking are gonna act like how they actually want to. She's really like this, likes to be, assertive and confrontational. She just needs a couple drinks and she needs the audience of everybody around her to kind of make it become how she's actually gonna act. The idea is this person an alcoholic? That's debatable, but the idea is you gotta accept them for who they truly are. Like, when someone tells you who they are, listen to them. And the idea is, yes, you like her when she's 80% of the time, but 20% of the time you don't like her. Well, that's her. Like, you have to take it for the whole package. You can't just say, I'm not going to be around you when you drink or when you like to go to parties or go to weddings or any of those situations. Like, no, he's got to step away from it. If you can have a good conversation with her in the context of like, hey, can we address your alcohol consumption? Can we address the idea of, like, what's an appropriate amount of alcohol for you to drink in front of people? You don't seem to have that problem when it's just the two of us. Maybe they can have a good, productive conversation that's going to make her a more well-rounded person, or maybe she's going to like totally back away from that and say, how dare you try to tell me how to live my life? Like, this is a relationship, not a parenting situation. So I could see it going both ways, but if they're going to succeed in this relationship and keep both OP and the girlfriend happy, that's probably the most important conversation they're going to have. But with the Decoy defense, what the inverse of that is, maybe he's just omitting the fact that he doesn't like going out to get drinks. So as soon as she starts to grab a drink, or then maybe she's like, yeah, I'll take a beer and actually give me a shot of a Patron as well. Then he's like, and it begins, and he rolls his eyes, and like when she's taking another beer, and she's like, shouting and screaming at bars and starting to dance with like, everybody at the club, he starts like really like nitpicking her and be like, what are you doing? Why are you drinking this much? And then that's what's causing the fights, because he doesn't like the drinking, but he's trying to paint it in this other light where it's like she's got this major problem. Because oftentimes people, when they write these stories on relationships, am I the antagonist, or Reddit in general, they're not going to portray themselves in a bad look if they want to get the feedback that they want. But as always, Decoy Court is going to take a brief recess. Let me know your thoughts down below as to what's the kind of advice you would give to that person if you've been in that relationship. Sometimes people will reply comments saying, oh, I don't like just giving you a block of text and sharing my own story, but that's what the comment section in Decoy Court is for. Like, let me know your feelings, let me know your thoughts, and maybe personal experiences, because I read all the comments right now. I really enjoy it. So take that brief recess, and let's go ahead and shoot over to that top comment right now, which is OP saying that he wants to stay with her, and he says that she needs to get this under control, he needs to break up. This commenter agrees with that, and also he doesn't want to deal with this for the rest of her life. The commenter says, and unless she decides to quit drinking, this will carry on the rest of your and her life. And then they ask, what should I do? And this commenter says, I'd give her the opportunity to swear off alcohol. If she's not on board and get the F out while you still can, this kind of thing doesn't magically get better. And it's true. And the one thing I would say is, he is 26, she's 23. She just got her liquor license 2 years ago. She's in that mode. Like, she's gonna be out there drinking and going to bars. And it's that weird thing where you turn 21, you can go to all these cool nightclubs and bars, but you really can't afford it. Once you get to kind of 23, 25, 27-ish, you can start to afford to go to those really cool Vegas bars. I mean, unless you got like people buying you drinks all the time. But, for the most part, from my experience, is she just got to the point where she can afford the drinks, can go out there and party like that. She's going to enjoy it. And maybe they say things don't magically get better. Sometimes they do. Sometimes people grow out of it. Sometimes people get over that phase in their life, and there's only really one time that you're going to be getting sloppy drunk frequently in your life, and it's going to be when you're like 23 years old. But the next top comment is, alcohol is not the excuse to treat your partner like crap. This would be a deal breaker for me, especially since she's not stopping. And it's true, everybody has their different things, and I'm sure there are some people that would be, ecstatic to be dating someone that likes to party as hard as they do, because it's just how they want to live life. People, sometimes relationships end because of irreconcilable differences, and there's nothing wrong with that. People are different. The next top comment is, believe it or not, what you're describing is a form of alcoholism. An inability to stop excessive drinking when you know it always ends badly equals a problem with alcohol. With how frequently it's happening, it's dead clear this girl cannot handle her liquor. Sorry, it's got to the point where she needs to choose between alcohol and a relationship. And that's the thing, is there's competing values of like, or competing interpretations of like, alcoholic or person with alcohol problem. It's all a matter of like, what the other context is. Like, has she gotten in a fist fight when she's doing it? Is this a once a month thing, or is this once a year thing? It's hard to say. Let's go ahead and see that last comment, which they said, on a completely unrelated note, I've got to say that how he comments on how she knows how to dress, has a great job, and is completely very professional. And they said, is quite possibly the oddest way I've heard of a significant other initially describing in one of their posts. And that is true. The way, like, why are they pointing out the idea that she knows how to dress, has a great job, and is very professional? Well, some people are into just very particular things. I often find it like, in your earliest experience with dating, you kind of start to have these preferences that you like and dislike, and maybe he was just really, really into a girl that has a professional job, that knows how to dress, and is just like, the epitome of someone that he wants to raise a family with. So, I wouldn't say this is the hardest thing in the world, but it is true that it's like people have different preferences based on different things, and I wouldn't be surprised if this guy is just really, really into like the CEO type in a suit that is like, bossing people around at work. Maybe that just really gets him going, and that's why he's too afraid to leave this relationship, because that's what he wants. He wants her to be forcing him to stay with her. But let's go ahead and shoot over to that second story of the day, which is, my boyfriend, a 22-year-old male, wants to meet up with his ex to clear up their breakup. She was quite intrusive in our relationship, and I need advice on how to cope with it. So this is about to get spicy. OP writes, my boyfriend and I met a year and a half ago. He had just been through a breakup and had finished his ex, but she would still message him once or twice a week, and he would respond politely. He said initially it had been 6 months since his breakup. They had only properly been broken up for about a month and still spoke. I didn't know about this until much later. Context: Ree, the ex-girlfriend. They had been breaking up for 6 months, but she wasn't able to accept it. Plus, they both had end-of-year exams at university, so they decided to put the breakup on hold until they finished for the summer. They had been together for 3 years. I wasn't aware that they were still talking until one night he told me, and I got pretty upset because I didn't really understand the context of their interactions. We had only been together for about 6 weeks and had started the relationship. He showed me the messages and his responses were very slowly / pretty minimal. He then told me that they had met up a couple times since we started dating and she was always upset. He didn't tell her that he had started dating someone else, me, and in fact promised her the same week that he asked me out on a date, he wouldn't date anyone unless she could get over him. I asked him to leave that evening so I could think about whether or not I wanted to continue the relationship the next morning. He was adamant about coming over to talk things out. I really wanted to be understanding of the situation and sympathetic towards her because she was obviously hurting. After the evening, he told me my boyfriend blocked her on all socials even though I thought that it wasn't a good idea and would only hurt her more since he said he had been responding to her messages because they decided to break up amicably. That's one long sentence. She somehow managed to message him on another platform saying, "This isn't communist China, you don't need to censor me. And if you don't want me to see stuff, tell her to stop posting pics of you." Question mark, exclamation mark. A few weeks later, she turns up at their mutual friend's concert and demands that they speak privately. I wasn't there, where she asks him to unblock her. He tells her no and she leaves, and over the next few months, she repeatedly sends him messages through his iMessage using her pet name for him, wishing him Happy Christmas, Happy New Year's. She would also watch my Instagram stories until I had to block her. Then she would watch my stories and my friend's stories through her fruit account. All of the above has contributed to me feeling a lot of anger and anxiety towards him and certain dynamics in this relationship because of the amount of things that have happened. My boyfriend now wants to meet with her to clear the air because she has moved to London and moved in with one of his ex-housemates no less. He has now said he wants to reconnect because she is someone who was important to me. My problem is now that they decided to meet her, he tells me that she is / was important to him and that he doesn't want to throw her under the bus, wants to be able to socialize with her in a group situations, and he used to say that she was boring and someone who would have just stayed a friend. I just find his change of mind slightly confusing. I guess my deepest anxiety was she will manipulate him into wanting her or something. Even writing this, my brain is screaming at me saying, if that does happen, he's a piece of crap and you're better off without him. I find it upsetting, but I can understand that this has to happen so we can get rid of the guilt he feels about the whole situation. I said I was okay about it after a lot of deliberation and that I'd like to meet her after they sort stuff out. Part of me wonders if I should break up with him and save my own peace of mind. I've been working on my anxiety and jealousy in therapy for the past year and 2 months, and sometimes the sadness is overwhelming. We have had an amazing relationship for the most part, and we both enrich each other's lives greatly. I'm not really sure on why I'm posting this, but I feel like I'm in a unique situation with no one to turn to. I just need some advice on how to process everything, and in the hope that someone will tell me it's okay. Too long didn't read. My boyfriend wants to meet his ex who used to be a bit of a stalker and now moved to our city. Am I crazy for being upset? So moving the case over to Decoy Court, because it's absolutely ridiculous, is the idea of this guy was dating her the entire time you guys were dating the very beginning of the relationship and lied to her several times about if he was dating OP or dating the ex-person, lied about the longevity of the relationship, lied about how long ago the relationship was, and now is probably omitting lots of information between the text messages between the two of them. And the simple fact is, yes, she was being a stalker and you want to get rid of that person, but he's starting to, in some level, lead her on into the whole thing. Like, if you're truly over somebody, you don't care. You just move on with life. Like, hey, I wish you the best. I feel guilty about things, but let's just move on and become better people on our own. That's entirely fine. The idea that he's still talking to her. Oh, she's going to live with one of my friends, so I want to be okay in social settings. Oh, now we need to reconnect and you need to be okay with it. OP already has a gut feeling that this is not a good idea. Let's move on. Like, don't do this. And now she's just settling with someone that's willing to do this to her because she's trying to rationalize it in her head that's saying, hey, he enriches my life, I can handle it, right? No, you can see in the subtext they're not okay with it. They want to move on, but they just need to get that extra push to say this is not normal for people to be this involved in their ex-girlfriend. They want to meet up with them. Now she needs to meet up with them. This is all going to be a disaster. He's just testing the water again to see if they have a spark or something, in my opinion. But I guess the inverse of that, of the decoy defense, is a situation where maybe this friend is someone that was like a long-time childhood friend that they grew up together, they dated for a while, it didn't work, and then they ruined their best friendship relationship as their childhood friends, started dating, didn't work out, and now she's kind of lost and moved around cities, and she just has OP's boyfriend to kind of to console her and help her through, like, you know, her finals and stuff. So that could be a reason, but maybe that's a little bit too far-fetched. I'd just go ahead and say the Decoy Court will take a brief recess. Let me know what you're thinking about story number 2, your boyfriend meeting up with their ex-significant other, how you would deal with that, or would you just walk away from the situation? Because that's what I'm kind of feeling I would do in that exact scenario. But let's go ahead and go over to that top comment, which is, he's clearly addicted to her drama. She doesn't have to manipulate him into anything. He's managed to stay emotionally stuck in her past all by himself. This would have been a deal breaker for me, and I think you've already tolerated enough. Where does this end? And it's very true, it doesn't end anywhere because he's still in that relationship. The old idea of, you know, OP's hating on the ex-girlfriend, saying like, oh, he might manipulate him into falling back in love with her. It's like, no. You don't villainize the person that likes a guy that wants to date him. You villainize the boyfriend that has made a commitment to you to not cheat on you. It's his fault, not the other person just doing what single people do, which is try to find someone to settle down with. So the next top comment, which is, wow, please leave this toxic mess. He's stuck in the loop for her and don't join him. By staying with him, you're the third addition to her toxic loop. And it's very true. It's like she's just becoming this third asset to this whole relationship, where it's just like she's a placeholder at this point in time when he's just trying to figure things out with the ex-girlfriend. Like, I don't like any of that whole situation. The next top comment is, let's just let him go. He's not done with her. You'll be hurt. So, I mean, a lot of the people saying the same things, and hopefully this will be the push that OP needs to kind of to validate their feelings of this isn't right. Maybe I should move on and, you know, get out of this. But let's go ahead and shoot over to that third and final story, which is the vice president, a 45-year-old female at the company a 23-year-old male work at, mistreated an employee, a 23-year-old female I was talking to until she quit and is now trying to set me up with her daughter, a 21-year-old female. Should I run for the hills? Right? So, OP says, sorry if this is the wrong sub, but this is so effing ridiculous. I'm going to try to outline it with the approximate dates and stuff. I'm so sorry for how confusing this is. So in August 2019, worked at the company. September, an employee, Shauna, that was making friends with the VP, casually tells me that the VP's daughter, Tara, thinks you're funny. In September, Shauna, who is now very close to the VP, once again talks to me about Tara to gauge my interest. I dodge the questions. 2019 in October, this girl Kenzie, who I would later become close to, is hired. We share a desk space. She's in a relationship. In January, Kenzie and the boyfriend break up. In February, Kenzie has a borderline mental breakdown while we're at lunch. Money problems, boy problems, family problems. She doesn't want to go home but doesn't want to be at work, so I give her the keys to my condo and say she can chill there. In March of the next year, in 2020, Kenzie and I are very close. She often stays at my place. Just friends though. I'm not her type, she's not mine, and neither of us is looking for a relationship. March 2020, people at work find out that Kenzie and I spend a lot of time together. Everyone asks if we're dating, we explicitly say so. Kenzie gets moved to a different department. Her new desk is on a different floor. April, the VP and office administrator who have become extremely hostile towards Kenzie to the point where she's stressed coming to work and cries most days. May, Kenzie's dad has worked at the company for 2 decades. He's fired out of nowhere, supposedly to save money because of the lockdowns hurting the company badly. BS, I know the financials. Then June, they are being hostile to Kenzie, so towards Kenzie, Shauna quits. Next month, Kenzie quits. Kenzie gets engaged. I'm very excited for her. With their permission, I tell the work friends, word spreads, and the VP comes in and asks me as if it's true. I say yes. In October, Tara comes to the office regularly and starts stopping at my desks. The president of the company asked me how I'd feel about dating her, how I'd feel about the VP being my mother-in-law. I'm shocked. He insists he was just joking, but the VP asked me if I'm going to go to her daughter's apartment that weekend to help her with a school project. Tara texts and snaps me every effing day. This is the craziest part. Just today, Kenzie and I grab drinks with Shauna. She tells us that the VP and office administrator would call her into the office and ask her about us all the time, have her show them our Snapchat stories and just generally spy on us and report on us. She became uncomfortable with it, and the VP and office administrator started having a different employee do the same thing. When I found that all out, it all clicked. The VP and office administrator effing tortured Kenzie to get rid of her and open the door for Tara. Now I don't know what to do. I've dodged hanging out with Tara, who has been inaccessibly asking me out for 5 days in a row now. I'm going to run out of excuses though. I don't feel comfortably outright rejecting her because I think it'll get me fired, and I'm making a lot of money and would rather not go anywhere. Should I go to HR about this? What if they go to the VP and warn her that I know? Wouldn't shock me. Should I confront the VP directly? Does anyone have an effing clue on how I can escape this McCarthy paranoid mind game elementary school drama gossip club? Too long didn't read. The VP of the company I work for hurt an employee that I was close to until she left, so the VP's daughter wouldn't have to compete with her for me, even though that wasn't the case to begin with. She accomplished this through a whole lot of manipulation and control. It's pretty weird. So taking the case over to Decoy Court to give you my knee-jerk reaction to the situation is a situation where, yes, go to HR, possibly let an attorney or someone that is like legally savvy, if you notice, get all the information you need, statements, documentation, evidence, proof, or whatever, because this could go another way and you don't want it to financially hurt you. I can see how OP just wants to keep his head down, but after hearing that his friend was kind of mistreated at the place and everybody else was working and he was being stalked by his VP of his company, this is something that he probably needs to protect himself from. The idea is like they're kind of using their power. The VP and the president are trying to make this young guy date their daughter that he's not interested in. So much of the fact that people are quitting the job and he's afraid to say that he doesn't want to work there. I mean, I don't know if there's a way to say it any other way that's not like a harsh way, but he needs to make sure he runs for the hills, never gets near these people at all, because this is a terrifying situation that they're willing to bully somebody because you don't want to date them. But I guess the decoy defense of that would be is OP actually like the other person. Nah, that's even a weak decoy defense. So I really can't see the inverse of that. But as always, Decoy Court will take a brief recess. Let me know your thoughts. Drop a comment down below on story number 3. What should OP do about the VP's daughter trying to date him and try to ask him out? Like how do you put your foot down and say, like, I don't want to date you in a high pressure job situation? But let's go ahead and shoot over to that top comment right now, which says, I agree with the poster who said to proceed cautiously, and I would do so while documenting as much as possible. This is a lawsuit waiting to happen, and poor Shauna and Kenzie seem like they have a reason enough to sue. I'm not an HR person or someone who specializes in employment law, but Tara and her mom, the VP, could be harassing you. The president of the company asking how you felt about this woman being your mother-in-law was definitely inappropriate. How creepy. I'd definitely proceed cautiously and start looking for a new job ASAP, but I also know someone sues the crap out of these people. Oh, also hope someone sues the crap out of these people, which is true. OP came back to say it, saying, considering what they put Kenzie and her dad and her family through, both financially and emotionally, it would be karmatic justice if they sued the organization. I've been documenting stuff. Unfortunately, a lot of this has occurred on person or on Snapchat. Regardless, I'm keeping track of as much as possible. Thank you. Which is one of those things where sometimes you need definitive proof, but sometimes just having, corroborating stories with a couple like emails or other information that you could subpoena could be a situation where you could prove this, not needing like them actually on camera watching your Snapchat behind your back. But the next top comment is, I hate to say it, but you're in a situation where you're damned if you do and damned if you don't. Either way, at some point in time, you'll be the jerk that broke the VP's precious daughter's heart. At that point, you can expect all kinds of heck to rain down upon you. The only question is, when? To be honest, I'd start looking for a new job. Just be aware with the level of vindictiveness shown. If you outright reject the daughter, you probably can't count on a positive response if the job you're applying for asks for a reference. I'd be concerned about having my reputation smeared, period. That makes things delicate. Do look for a new job. Be positive, friendly, and nice to the boss's daughter. Don't outright reject her, but don't act too interested either. If quizzed by the VP, say this is a new territory for you and you want to proceed carefully. Slow it all down while you work on getting out there. Once you have new employment, let her down gently and slowly. This should give you the chance to prove yourself to the new employer. There's no guarantee this will work, but the most immediate consequences should be reduced. This is an incredibly toxic situation. I'm sorry that you're dealing with this. Which I agree with most of this story over here, this reply. The idea is, yeah, you probably can't rely on this job to help you get a new job. Start applying for other places because this seems pretty toxic environment. The idea is, I feel like the whole VP being more aggressive about OP dating that person, it might just be easier for OP to just feign a new relationship. Like, I'm dating this new person. I'm not a cheater. I'm not going to just cheat on him. Like, hey, I like your daughter. She seems like a nice person, but I'm dating somebody. Where is she? She lives in a different country. Who is she? She doesn't have social media or Instagram or something, so you can't stalk her. That would probably absolve him of all of the nastiness going on with the whole situation with them trying to push the daughter on him. So, I mean, that's kind of how I feel about it. Decoy Court is kind of settled. So if you haven't already, please consider subscribing down below and turning on those notifications to become a part of that Decoy Koi pond in the comment section down below, because you know that if you subscribe to me, sometimes people get automatically unsubscribed to me, or sometimes people are just not getting my videos in the feed. I don't know, it's a weird phenomenon, but the channel's on the up and up. We're starting to grow again. So if you can help me out, I would really appreciate it. Share this video, share the channel with somebody else, or if nothing else, just like the video and maybe just put this on autoplay and watch the next episode of DecoyNoise coming up next.